Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm ARTWITHKODA, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Steven Universe the movie is going to be a celebration of the series. And how could you celebrate Steven Universe without fusion? With so many characters coming out of the woodwork in this story of Steven and the Crystal Gems giving it their all to save the Earth, there's a chance a few may bust a few dance moves too close together and, mix their physical forms and do a little fusion. Now, a new fusion for the movie was actually teased at San Diego Comic-Con 2019, where during the Q&A portion of the Steven Universe panel, the panelists were inevitably asked spoiler questions, one of which being if anyone new would fuse in either the film or upcoming seasons of the series. To which they had this to say while also dodging the question. Roll the clip.
I will say it's a really good question.
And you'll just have to watch the movie, right?
And please watch the movie for the answer to that question.
Yes.
It'll get answered loudly.
You just have to wait a little bit more.
Alright, so it sounds like the movie is going to have something new in relation to fusions. But the question is, as always, with who? Now, I think it's inevitable we're going to see a lot of old fusions return in this film. We already know Alexandra and Opal are a shoo-in, but I feel as if we could also see Smoky Quartz, Sardonyx, Rainbow 2.0, Sunstone, in the perfect world, Sugalite, Obsidian, and whoever else I might be forgetting to name. But when it comes to a new fusion, I have a few speculations, but I think it's best to just compile them in this one episode. I do think the fusion may be Steven-based, as the narrative of the film is driven around Steven. The stakes and conflict revolve around him, so it's only natural a fusion would involve him. Like, it'd be kind of awkward for Steven to have this emotional crisis, only to look over his shoulder finding Peridot and Lapis fused into someone else entirely new. I'm not saying it's impossible, but fusions have always been driven by narrative. This narrative is all about Steven. So I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat and kick this off with what I feel is the most likely fusion. Steven and Peridot. Peridot and Steven have a very special bond, with Steven changing Peridot's life for the better. Unlike other gems, Peridot has never fused before. I speculated in the past maybe they could tackle asexuality with Peridot, but fusion is a metaphor for all kinds of relationships. Not just romantic, but platonic as well. It's not all just sexual relationships as parts of the internet try to perpetuate. Like Steven and Amethyst have a sibling relationship. They weren't swapping spit by becoming Smoky Quartz. I know a lot of people are rooting for Peridot to fuse with Lapis or Amethyst as her first fusion, considering the shipping around those characters, but I think it would be good for her first fusion to be with the person that introduced her into a different lifestyle, one that incorporates cross-gem fusion. So we have the why, but not the how. As we speculated before, there could be a sequence of events pieced together by the trailer and behind-the-scenes material. At the beginning of the film, Steven is spending time with Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. When the new villain attacks, the Crystal Gems battle said gem, but then something may happen to them, which leads Steven to form a B team with Bismuth, Peridot, and Lapis going off a storyboard. We already know at one point Steven will consult Peridot on the giant injector in the planet, in which she informs him the Earth has a new expiration date. I think it makes the most sense this is after the gems first encounter and battle with the villain, so it's possible Steven comes to Peridot and gets the bigger picture of what's going on, after Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl have fallen in battle. Speaking of behind-the-scenes storyboards, Shelby Rabara, voice of Peridot, mentioned at Comic-Con she got to do some tap dancing for the movie. I think it's likely she was recorded tap dancing, and that the audio of said tap dancing is being worked into a song, and her moves were used as a reference for the storyboard artist. However, in the behind-the-scenes trailer for the movie documentary, there is a shot of Shelby Rabara tap dancing, and if you look over at the laptop while this is happening, there appears to be an animatic of Steven, neck and all, extending his hand out towards Peridot, as if he's gesturing for her to dance with him. And we know that in Steven Universe, when there's dancing, there's a fusing. Perhaps fusing with Peridot will help Steven stay alive and healthy a bit longer, as he does seem to be affected by the injector, gaining bags under his eyes. Side note, I know a lot of people said Steven might just be sleep deprived and tired, and while that is certainly a possibility, that was a reason for him to have bags under his eyes before, it seems that the Crystal Gem's initial battle with this villain is on the same day Steven returns to the planet, hanging out with all of his friends and family. So I'm not convinced he could become sleep deprived in such a short period. Plus, after Pink Steven, we as an audience would identify bags under Steven's eyes as something being physically wrong with his body or in relation to his body. Something as severe as his gem being ripped out, something that would cause Steven to slowly die. Anywho, maybe reducing that half-human, half-gem to a quarter-human, 3/4 gem will give Steven an energy boost, while Peridot smarts will give their fusion the skills necessary to properly assess a conflict they find themselves in. And I mean, come on, you know a fusion between Steven and Peridot would be bonkers? Oh god, what would they sound like? And with so many people providing music for the movie, it's not out of the realm possibility that at least one of these musicians could also be lending their voice to a character. A character in this case being a fusion. But closing the book on Peridot, let's take a quick look at Greg. Steven's only ever fused with one human before in the series, Connie. So I feel like to pull that card again, they would have to wait for a very special occasion. I would argue a movie is special enough to introduce another human fusion. Greg seems to have a role in this movie going off the trailer, though I also suggested this could just be a minor scene involving Beachapalooza. But I don't know, maybe the shot of Greg and Steven wailing on their guitars, surrounded by 2 long flames, could actually be a part of Steven and the Crystal Gem's counterattack on this new gem, incorporating aspects of humanity, in this case music, to turn the tables and save Earth. We still don't know who Chance the Rapper could voice in this movie, or if he's just contributing music. But hey, if he is voicing a character, a Steven and Greg fusion would be fantastic. However, if they want to get meta with it, they could always do what they did with Joan Jett and have Chance voice one of Greg's musical friends, akin to Sunshine Justice. After all, Beachapalooza and Sadie killing the suspects seemingly making it during this time skip, I could easily see Chance being worked in with a little cameo. Maybe a new manager after the band took off and Greg did not want to leave Beach City. Maybe he's an agent that the band works with. I don't know, but that's not a fusion, so I'm gonna move on. Steven and Greg fusing could help both of them endure the effects of the injector, although to be fair, they look pretty healthy in this scene, despite Steven's battle damage on his jacket. I'm really interested to see how the timeline of this movie really unfolds. Next up, Lars. Alright, truth be told, I really just want to see them fuse. I don't think there's any evidence that indicates such a thing, but Rebecca Sugar does love Lars dearly. Lars and Sadie predate Steven Universe as a show. She's always had this character in her head, and in her comics. With how much Rebecca Sugar loves Lars, I imagine he would have to have some sort of role in this film. Maybe he gets in on the action. After all, Sugar did confirm that Lars has lion's powers. So perhaps during this time skip, Lars has mastered those powers, and now he's ready to kick some tail, which would lead to their fusion. Perhaps Lars, being reanimated, has some sort of immunity to the injector. Immunity Steven can get in on by fusing with the character. I know, it's reaching territory, but it's what we do best. And to close out this episode, I'm just gonna go through some honorable mentions of gems I don't think Steven could fuse with, but if they want to throw us another curveball like change our mind, I'd be more than happy to see it. Lapis. Like Peridot, Steven and Lapis have a very special relationship. Steven liberated Lapis Lazuli from the mirror, and I could not even imagine how different this series would be if Steven never healed Lapis and set her free. Or could I? Future video plug? Still, Lapis has had a hard time fusing after Jasper, but maybe now she's just warmed up to the idea. I'm very interested in seeing how a fusion between Steven and Lapis would play out. Bismuth. Now, I've suggested before maybe Steven and Bismuth could fuse and that's who Chance voices. Hey, if they want to do a Change Your Mind 2.0, but this time have Steven fuse with Peridot, Lapis, and Bismuth, I truly don't think I would complain, but I also don't think they would pull that card twice. There's also the diamonds. Okay, I really don't see Steven fusing with any of them, but it's a movie. Anything could happen, especially with Blue Diamond. With how close she was to Pink, you know she loves the hell out of Steven, so come on. Have Steven fuse with his grandmama. But what about fusions that don't involve Steven? Well, again, Peridot and Lapis could fuse. Maybe we'll see Bismuth fuse with a gem. I would love to see that. The uncrypted gems may get some action. Again, maybe with Bismuth. Maybe we'll just see random uncrypted gems fuse with each other. Not in a big action scene, but just in the beginning of the film, so we really get a feel for how much they're loving the Earth, how free they feel, to the point that they can just walk up to a homie, and if the homie's cool with it, they do a little dance and become someone new. There's so many routes this movie could take with little surprises like this. Fusions are always fun to speculate about, and they're much more of a blast to see with our own eyes. So whatever fusion the movie dishes out, I'm sure it'll be great. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? What fusion do you think could pop up in the film? And with Steven in particular, who do you think he's most likely to fuse with at this point? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at OpticFox. We're also on Instagram. Special thanks to ARTWITHKODA for creating an awesome thumbnail. For more of his wonderful art, you can find him on Tumblr and Instagram at ARTWITHKODA, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Link link down below in the description. Help the Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please sort of like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. ARTWITHKODA, signing out.